What's up, Jack?
Oh, it's bright out here. So yeah, I took the brakes apart, and now it's just a slippery slope of I just ordered all the parts to basically rebuild the whole rear brakes. We got the parking brake cable, which I thought was actually broken.
So what was the issue with it? Why is it not working?
Well, in our last day in Arkansas, everything was frozen, and when I pushed the handle down, it didn't like do anything basically. So
Yeah, something break?
Something I think so. I think what happened after taking all this shit apart is like the cable's okay. It's probably stretched a little bit because I had it like super like close to the end of the adjustment anyways. I'm sure it's stretched, but so when I started to reverse in Arkansas and then it snapped. Something snapped, like I don't know if it was frozen and it just caught or something.
You heard it too?
Like I heard a snap, and then it was like there was no rear brake. I mean, there was no parking brake at all.
Mm.
So basically, what this is, if you're not super familiar, this goes to the base of the parking brake lever, and then it goes under the truck. It goes out through this little plate that's right here. So this bolts into the bottom, and then this slips in there, and then this is actually what the parking brake cable pulls on. And then when you pull this, one each of those go to this lever mechanism inside the rear brake.
Oh, one goes to each rear drum brake.
So one of these goes like this, and it mounts onto the, it mounts like this basically. And then this is behind there, and when you, it might go the other way.
Then push it on the drum chute.
Right, yeah. So this is how it goes. So this comes in, out through there, yeah. And then so when you pull the cable, it pivots on this thing right here. And then it basically just tightens the rear brakes. So the parking brake mechanism is the rear brakes. And so like over the years, they just wear out, and this was basically seized, like it was like rust welded. So I got it loose, and then I just kept spraying it with PD blaster and like moving it around, and then just disassembled it, took the pins out. So I'm gonna sandblast these and hopefully powder coat them. All I have is yellow powder coat right now though, so I don't know.
Safety. I mean, it's a parking brake, right?
So
it should be. It's not like you're gonna be able to see it.
You will if you're pulling the transmission again, which is probably gonna happen. Yeah, I don't know. I guess John Deere yellow. Woo.
And then.
So right now I'm actually setting up the sandblasting cabinet. I got the right fitting for it, so
what
should be able to use it.
What happened over here? You haven't touched that anymore?
Yeah, there's just a little bit more welding.
Decided
has gotten done,
start a new project, redo all the brakes.
Right.
Which were working fine.
They weren't. No, I don't think they were.
Really?
Because so I test drove it again today, and you could hear something in the front. It sounds like maybe a caliper seized or something.
You said when we were bleeding them, there were some noises like, coming from the back, right?
Yeah. That was the emergency brake. It was since it was seized.
Yeah.
You could hear the cable pulling when you applied the brakes.
I thought the front calipers were brand new.
They are, but maybe
it could be a
one of them
defective
is like,
part.
or it's just seizing a little bit. So maybe you need to break it free, or it's like stuck from the fact. I don't know. They are remanufactured, so who knows? But
so we're gonna see if Jack's sandblaster is working. We got everything hooked up. He's making sure there's no spiders in the gloves. It's been a while since he's used it.
I've never used it.
Oh, you never used it?
It was at Corey's house, and then we brought it over here. It's been here for like 3 years now.
3 years and you never used it?
Never even connected it. But it seems like everything's working. Tested out the vacuum, put in the filter. Gloves are in pretty good shape. So yeah, we just need to get a different cord that has the light and the vacuum.
So this is what, the guard for the fuel hoses?
Yeah, it goes underneath the passenger side fender.
That's pretty
or
rusted
quarter
right
panel,
there.
Rear fender, whatever.
It's gonna eat right through it.
No way, dude. It's solid. OEM stuff.
OME. OME.
OEM. Not yet. It'll work for a little while.
It's on.
Ooh, it's not going. Oh, alright. So I'm going to turn the vacuum on. Oh, we need to adjust the airflow.
Is it working?
Not at all. It's either... Oh yeah, I guess it is.
You can see it.
You can see it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I think it needs more pressure. Alright, let's try that. Yeah, I don't think that's doing anything. I think we probably need to change the media. Yeah, it didn't do much.
Anything coming out of it? Nothing.
Nothing, right?
Yeah, it's just like...
Yeah. Oh, this is super cool. Yeah. It must be clogged, so I guess I'll take this off and run the compressed air in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels very weak. Might need to get rid of that regulator.
Yeah,
It's also not blowing anything, right?
I can't see.
Yeah, there's nothing happening.
Sounds pretty weird. Oh, it's blowing stuff.
Yeah, but that's because there's like chunks of baking
Oh,
soda
it's
that
like-
I'm blowing. It's not, nothing's coming out of the gun though.
You holding down the trigger?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's strong enough.
The gun also might be clogged. Alright. So
one thing I've been putting off is I have bought some hoses to replace for the radiator or for the coolant, and I've been putting that off, and now we thought it'd be a good time to do it, especially since it's about to get hotter. Right now I'm kind of draining the existing coolant that we have in the truck, and also I've been wanting to do a coolant flush, so we're doing that as well. And I am missing some hoses. There's this one right here that I found out I didn't have, and some other ones. So we're gonna replace the hoses that I do have, and then just do a flush on the coolant, and which needs to be done anyways. And Jack's over here still messing with the blaster. Tried a few things, make sure everything was cleared out. Thinking it might be the gun that's bad. Right now we tried soda, we tried walnut shells, and I think right now we're trying aluminum oxide. See if that works, but if not, we're gonna have to replace the gun and see if that'll help it out a little bit. So this is one of the existing hoses, and you can see how it's starting to like flare up on this side. It's just like bulging out, and that's a sign of aging. So you can see the difference between the new and the old. And so this clamp that Jack's working on is one of the original clamps that came with the 60, and
that's pretty cool.
Apparently they work better than other ones.
Yeah, I mean they're much more sturdy than the thin like bandy types.
Mm-hmm.
And So yeah, what had happened is we just loosened it too much, and then this end came out of these holes, and it's just like bent a little bit. So we just clean it up and put some anti-seize on it so that threads don't get as seized up later.
The next owner that changes the hoses out.
Yeah, true.
If there's a next owner.
And bam, it's on just like that.
Nice. So for this lower hose that we're putting on right now, we did have to almost remove the alternator, and that definitely made it a lot easier to get that hose back on. So I think that's it for all the hoses for now. What we're going to do is fill it back up with water. I'm going to run that for a day to help flush out the system. So it's pretty much going to be it for now. Finish putting this hose on, put the alternator back on, fill it with water, run it for a day, and then we'll be back to continue. So it's a week later now. I was gonna add the coolant, like I said, the day after, but I waited a week so I can run the system, run the truck, and let all that green coolant flush out. And also, what I went ahead and did is, I got the hose that I wanted to replace, which is this one right here, and you can kind of see that bulge a little bit more. You'll definitely see when I take it off. So I went ahead and got this hose. All the other hoses for the oil cooler seem relatively new, and just this one that was pretty bad. So that's why I'm only replacing that one. All the other lines look like in alright shape, and they're pretty straight hoses. Nothing with funny geometry like this one with these bends. So those are relatively easy to find if something were to happen. I did buy another one of these hoses, which is a hose we replaced that goes right here. I think it's like a bypass line, but it's kind of stretched out right now. It was a little bit short, so I got another one. This is a brand that I got. I don't know if it's the same one actually, but I bought it from a different company. I think it was Cruiser Corpse. So we're gonna go ahead and replace that hose again and see if this has a better fit that's not so tight and about to fall off. This is why I wanted to replace the hose. If you can see that. There we go. That's the reason I wanted to replace the hose. And then when I took the hose off, this is what was inside. It's completely clogged. Now this is just a bypass line, so I'm not sure it's just gunk is just coming out of this hose, and there's still more stuff on the inside, if you can see. So we're gonna go ahead and take the thermostat housing off, make sure that's kind of cleaned up and not have similar stuff on the inside similar to this, and then make sure this other hose that's connected, make sure this hose is not clogged as well. So I'm glad I got that hose changed out, but man, this is some pretty nasty stuff. Oh look, there's like a tiny little hole. I guess maybe that was the amount of coolant that was flowing through. So I got the cap off, and doesn't look too bad. I thought it was gonna look a lot worse because of the way this I guess nozzle looked, and especially the way the hose looked. But it looks pretty clean. It looks there's some RTV already on there. So it looks like it might have been replaced relatively, or looks like it's been replaced not too long ago, and it was pretty easy to take off as well. So since we're already here, might as well just take a look and see what it looks like, make sure it's not all clogged and dirty. This is one of the hoses I'd replaced initially, and it was really snug on there. I don't remember where I got this one or the brand. We already took the sticker off, but this is a replacement I bought. I bought another one, And
see where it was clamping, how it was all deformed.
yeah, you can see the clamp was not like parallel at the end of the hose. It was kind of at an angle. And when you put these two side by side, one end has maybe about 3/4, maybe an inch, maybe about an inch longer on each side. So this hose is gonna be a much better fit. So earlier I came here just to replace this hose and this hose, and then because Jack's with me, he's like, well, we should take the thermostat cap off and see what it looks like underneath that, and take off this other hose to see what that looks like.
Shit, so thank you, Jack. You're welcome, Rob.
Yeah, it was actually, he made a good point, because this was like super clogged. So we wanted to see what it looked like in here. And I showed you earlier, it looks pretty clean. We went ahead and wire wheeled it, got a little bit cleaner. You can see what all that, I guess from that old coolant.
The O-ring's totally gone, so you basically don't have a thermostat. But other than that.
So it'll still run?
Yeah, no, it'll be fine.
You just turn on more?
It probably won't even get to like operating temperature. I don't know.
Like an overheat?
Well, before, before it wasn't sealing, but it was still like blocking the flow some.
Oh yeah, because before there was like an O-ring, but it was not really. It was pieces of an O-ring. And anyways, I'm gonna get a new O-ring. Well, Jack made me a gasket. I'm gonna go ahead and get
manufacturing right there.
New gasket, new O-ring, new thermostat. Just might as well. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get that installed, and I'll be pretty much done. So we got pretty much everything buttoned up. Got all the hoses back on. Got the thermostat cap on. All the new hose. This is the new hose that we replaced. And now we're just gonna put in some more coolant, and that's gonna be pretty much it. So it's gonna be that's gonna be pretty much it for this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. Check y'all later.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.